Hotep everyone. The important message that I talked about on Facebook that I had for you all was about the up and coming pole shift. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh damn, really Shonda? Really? The pole shift? Yes. Really. And all damn to you too. But on a more serious note, it's just information that I wanted to share with you and with the skeptics. I know how you guys feel because, you know, you felt like, well, they said the same thing about 2000 and we had this Y2K scare and nothing happened. And I just recently read on NASA's website, or a website that supposedly NASA posted about Y2K, was that they had adequate planning and precautions, so on and so forth, and that's why the big Y2K scare didn't go down the way a lot of people thought that it would. And I thought about that. And after doing some reading and some research, I discovered that the ancients didn't mention anything about the year 2000. It was all focused on December 21st, 2012. So I kind of thought about that, and I'm like, well, if the ancients didn't mention anything about 2000, then that really wasn't the year of the coming of the new age. 2012 is. And here I have some prophecies or some theories or predictions, if you will, about 2012. And it's a list, what they call a list of prophecies. I call it theories. But in the coming months, we will see, you know, what's going on or what's about to go on, because basically the media isn't telling us anything. But about a year ago, I read that NASA, excuse me, not NASA, but FEMA was preparing or gathering so many thousands, hundreds of thousands of body bags. And I posted this on Facebook. I don't know if anyone read it or paid it any attention, but I shared it on my Facebook page. And I began to think, and I began to wonder, okay, is FEMA telling us something that we don't know, or does FEMA know something that we don't? Which of course I think they do, as well as the government, but they're not going to share that information with us quite at this moment. And who knows if they will. Right now, all they're telling us is that, hey, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. But I do know December 21st, 2012, we will be experiencing the galactic alignment. And of course, I've heard the scientists say that we go through the winter solstice and we experience that every year. But I think that there is some significance to that, because the ancients talked about something different, something spectacular happening on the 21st of December 2012. And when I say the ancients, I mean the Hopi, the Maya, the Dogon, the Zulu, those two particular tribes of Africa. It's like, and even the ancient Egyptians, they all, you know, their timelines stopped at 2012. And I'm just going to run through real quick some of the theories that they have. The Hopis say that they predict a 25-year period of purification, followed by end of fourth world and beginning of the fifth. So in other words, they feel that right now we are in the fourth world and we're going into the fifth world, or into another dimension. That's what the Hopi predict, or that's what the Hopi believe. Right now we're going through what I see as a changing or a shifting. Right now we are in the year of Pisces, I believe, and we are leaving the year of Pisces, going into Aquarius. So the dawning, the new age of Aquarius, 2012. So this is my theory and my thinking. What I believe is that with the galactic alignment happening, now that is for sure. That we can pretty much pinpoint and say, okay, December 21st, 2012, we will experience the galactic alignment. But as far as the pole shift itself is concerned, we don't know exactly when that will happen, when that will take place, or whether or not the galactic alignment will trigger it. But I do know that we are imminent for a pole shift because it happens every 26,000 years. And so I have some other info that I want to share with you about safe locations and all that good stuff, but I'll get into that a little later on in the video. So right now I want to go ahead and continue with the theories. The Mayans believe that it's the end of days or the end of time as we know it. That doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, just the end of time as we know it, because we are, our generation, we're used to electronics like cell phones, computers, televisions, and microwave ovens and all that stuff. There may be a time when, like, if we actually do go through this pole shift, where none of this stuff will work. And I know, like I stated earlier in the video, they said that about the year 2000 and nothing happened because they had adequate preparation and planning. But in my opinion, the year 2000 just wasn't the year for the pole shift to happen. So as time progresses and time goes on, we shall see. So the Zulu believe that the whole world will be turned upside down. Now, with the Zulu, and when they say they believe the whole world will be turned upside down, to me, that's the pole shift and the pole reversal. That's when the north becomes south. That's when the shifting of the poles shift, and basically where we are right now, when the pole shift happens, and I do believe that it will happen in our lifetime. If the pole shift happens, we will, in other words, we won't be where we are right now, because North Pole becomes the South Pole becomes the North Pole, and it's just going to be, you know, for the survivors and for the people that survive it, it's going to be a very interesting, if not trying, time. So, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up with these theories. The Maoris, if I'm pronouncing that right, it's M-A-O-R-I-S. They say that the veils dissolved, there will be a merging of the physical and spiritual worlds. So, in other words, 2012 is going to be, it's going to be a change of consciousness, if you will. And I believe that, for one thing, because I know that from what I've been reading and researching, that my consciousness has already shifted. So that's for me. I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak for myself. Next, the Hindus say that Kali Yuga, meaning end time of man, the coming of Kalki and critical mass of enlightened ones. So in other words, they believe that we are going to receive visitors from other planets are coming, and they're going to enlighten us on the new world, if you will. the Incas call it the age of meeting ourselves again. So, in other words, we will once become one with nature, and we will begin to know ourselves, or know thyself, um, is another way of putting it. Next, the Aztec called this the time of the sixth sun, a time of transformation, creation of a new race. Okay, the Dogon tribe say that the spaceship of the visitors, the Nomo, will return in the form of a blue star. Now, if you're not conscious or into this, you will not get this. You will not understand it, but I'm sharing it with you anyway in hopes that you will do your reading and your research so that you can kind of get like a clear understanding of where the Dogon tribe is coming from. Because if you've ever studied the Dogon tribe, they've done documentaries on this particular tribe in Africa. They live in Mali, Africa, and they knew what NASA didn't even know. They knew about Sirius A and Sirius B before NASA knew anything about it, and before NASA even discovered it, because they say that they were visited many years ago by the Namo, and the Namo were the ones who taught them this knowledge and this information. And basically when they did their documentary, it's like many of the NASA scientists were amazed at their knowledge and what they knew, because they knew this without even a telescope, and it just blew their minds. Like, how could they know this stuff, you know, and they don't even have the equipment, you know, that NASA has. So it's a very interesting documentary. Check that out. Google it, YouTube it, and learn more about it if you're interested. The Pueblo, I guess I'm pronouncing that right. Pueblo. Acknowledge it'll be the emergence into the fifth world. So right now we're in the fourth world, and what they're saying is that we're going to be going into the fifth world. And that's the same concept as what the Hopi believe. The Cherokee, their ancient calendar ends exactly at 2012, as does the Mayan calendar. So basically it just seems so far that these tribes are all in one accord about what's going to occur, you know, sometime this year, 2012. And it amazes me that they're pretty much on the same frame of mind. That's what's amazing. Next, the Tibetan believe that Kalachakra teachings are prophecies left by Buddha predicting coming of the golden age. Now in Tibet, this basically tells their theory or their prophecy that what Buddha predicts is the coming of the new age, or the golden age, or like I said earlier, the age of Aquarius. So we're leaving Pisces and going into Aquarius. And it goes on to say, what will happen in 2012? It says, a telepathic interplay which will eventually annihilate time. That was by Alice Bailey, and that was her quote. Translation or dematerialization to another sphere of the universe, as by Teilhard de Chardin. And a matter, antimatter implosion, leaving a mutation of matter to photon form. Our minds will utilize like the fragments of a hologram. And that is Terence McKenna's prediction or theory of 2012. And that's just to give you some insight and overview, and if you want to check it out, you can Google it, List of 2012 Prophecies, and you can read it for yourself. There's also a website I wanted to share with you. It's www.december212012.com. So you can also look in there. It's got a wealth of information on there too that you can check out. Next, I want to get back into the pole shift, and basically those of us who are still here, who are still alive, if it happens within our lifetime, which I believe it will, we're going to go and we're going to experience some detrimental changes. So we have to try to prepare ourselves as much as we possibly can, if at all possible. So I wanted to get into the safe locations, and you can find this on www.bibliotecapleiades.net. That is Bibliotecapleiades.net. Right now I want to get into South Carolina and North Carolina. Not to, say that I don't care about any of the other cities and states, but see, I live in South Carolina, so therefore first preservation is the first law of the land. Self-preservation is the first law of the land. So kind of more concerned about my state. Not saying that I'm not concerned about your state, wherever you may live or wherever you may be, but if you want to find out more information about that, if you're interested, then that's the website that you need to check out. And it has all of the major cities listed in all of the states, as far as talking about safe locations and where you could go. Basically, all I can tell you is I don't really know for sure. Some places are going to be safe. They say that Jerome Massey, in his books that he talks about the pole shift, he states that Africa will be the safest place to be. Well, if you're like me, you can't afford to go to Africa right now. So I got to deal and make do with how to handle stuff right here in the United States, the USA, and South Carolina. To make sure me and my family are cool, and my friends are safe and on the up and up. So right now, I want to get into South Carolina, and it says here, as with all areas along the eastern seaboard south of New York City, elevation will not save them from a dunking, meaning like when the oceans start, swinging and all that stuff, with the pole shift occurring. And it says unless they are close to 1,000 feet in elevation and several hundred miles from the coast. The coastline will be pulled down several hundred feet just prior to continental rip, which will rip the deep Atlantic Ocean rifts further apart. So in other words, the Atlantic Oceans are going to rip apart. The permanent effect on the coastline along the southern portion of the U.S. will be a drop of 150 feet below its former level. So, in other words, I guess what they're trying to say is that South Carolina will be covered in water. And so it goes on to say that those in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains may find their toes only wet, but for safety, go to higher ground and return home after the shift. Now, that's one thing that I wanted to discuss and talk about, returning home after the shift. Yeah, if that would be at all possible. I don't want to scare anyone or discourage anyone or anything from your standpoints and your beliefs, but this is something that is serious, that we really need to, learn more about. NASA they're not saying a whole lot about the pole shift. They do know that a pole shift will occur, and they know that we're due for one, and it's imminent. So we'll just have to see. Now I want to mention North Carolina as well, because it says more than the residents of North Carolina are looking toward the relative elevation of the taller mountains in their state for refuge. So in other words, they're probably going to go to the highest mountain peak, and just to be on the safe side, that's probably where you would want to research, do your research, and go, you know, for your safety and your family's safety. I would say maybe, you know, we can't pinpoint it. So I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 days before December 21st, you know, just get your stuff together, get your family together, and go to higher ground. I'm not saying that something's going to go down, although I do believe that it will. And how will it affect humanity? I don't know, but in my opinion, it's always better to be safe than sorry. He goes on to say that that the mountains of Appalachia are no longer a jumble of rocks, but have been worn down over time and covered with forests and wealthy and prepared for... Oh, wait, my computer went out on me. And it states here that the best place to be would be like near the mountains higher up. So that's where you want to go. And you can also check that out too. They also mention Charleston, South Carolina as well, and Charleston, West Virginia. So anyone living in those areas, you know, you want to go and to this website, check it out, and just, you know, just to be on the safe side. That's how I look at it, and that's how I say, and that would be your best bet. So I wanted to share this information with you. So that was the big important announcement, big important message that I had to share with you all. So definitely check it out. I'm going to give you those websites once again. You can check out December 2012. It's www.december21212.com. And you can Google list of 2012 prophecies, and you can find out and read also what the Dogon and the Zulu and the Hopi and the Maya had to say. And also you want to go to www.bibliotechapleiades.net. That's www.bibliotechapleiades.net. Thank you for watching, and please take heed, be safe, and Shem Hotep.